Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Liz, and today we're going to be discussing the murder of Joey Fischer. So on March 3rd of 1993, Albert Joseph Fischer Jr., who went by Joey, was shot dead in his driveway at his home in Rancho Viejo, Texas. So the day of the murder was like any other typical day for him. He woke up early to get ready for a normal day at St. Joseph's Academy High School, where he was a senior. At around 7 a.m., he went into the garage and he backed his mom's vehicle out. There was dust on the car, so he just wanted to give it like a nice clean down, if you will. After he backed his mom's car into their circular driveway. I was trying to remember the shape of it, so I just kept going like this. So he backed his mom's vehicle back into the family's circular driveway, and after this, he went to go grab the garden hose. That way he can wash down the vehicle. But as he started spraying down the vehicle, this is when he would be shot twice at point blank range with a .38 caliber pistol. His gunshot wounds were to his chest, kind of like on the left-hand side, and to his head, which penetrated his brain. The worst part about this is that Joey's mom, Corinne, was right inside the house. And she looked outside because she heard a noise, but she simply thought that maybe it was a tree branch on the roof of the car, or maybe it was a car backfiring, or she just didn't know what the noise was. So she asked Eric, which is Joey's brother, to see if he could see anything outside. And this is when Eric saw that the car was still in the driveway. Alarm bells. Corinne goes outside, and this is when she sees, unfortunately, her son lying face up in a pool of blood. He's bleeding out. Corinne tries to stop the bleeding by applying pressure, in which she gets blood all over her. Kathy, which is Joey's sister, is instructed to call the police first and then to call her dad, Buddy. And as soon as Kathy called Buddy, he rushed over to see what happened. He was literally, I believe when I was doing my research, he said that he was doing about 110 on the highway. That way he could go and see what happened. Because, I mean, if something happened to your child, alarm bells, right? So when he was getting closer to his ex-wife's house, this is when he heard sirens. And the sirens were headed in the same direction that he was. When he arrived at his ex-wife's home, he saw his son's lifeless body in the driveway. Joey Fischer was pronounced dead at the scene. He was only 18. So after the police arrived, they then talked to the neighbors, and many of them say that they saw a mid-20s Hispanic man with a short beard, and he was seen driving a white four-door sedan. And this car was driving away. And what's more significant is that this car had plates from Mexico. After this tragedy, Kathy then calls Joey's closest friends to see who wished ill thoughts on her son. And the only person that anyone could recall was a boy that Joey got into an altercation with at a football game. This would prove to be inconclusive. This had nothing to do with his murder. So Joey's services were massive. There was about 600 people in attendance. His family was very well known in the community, and it was such a loss that no one saw coming. Many of those that were in attendance were his classmates, his friends, Joey's current girlfriend, Marianela Caballero, and his ex-girlfriend, Christina. Nothing too out of the ordinary at first, you'd think at first. But as the police continue to investigate the crime scene, the facts surrounding the case, things start to get a little weird. So at the crime scene, there was a tennis shoe print that was found near the AC unit that sits outside of the home. There was also a yellow business card next to Joey's body that had something written on it, and it was stained in blood. They believe that it was stained in blood due to the blood coming off of Corinne's hands when she was trying to stop Joey's bleeding. So the police look at this card. They end up deciphering the card, and it comes from a bail office in McKinney, Texas, specifically the Collin County bail office. So the former sheriff who ended up being the lead investigator on this case, for Cameron County, his name is Alex Perez. He called the bail office and asked to see any bond applications that had been made by Rio Grande Valley residents, and especially ones that had been made as of late. one of those people turned out to be a man named Rudy Cuellar. He was a resident of the area, and he was known to frequently visit Mexico. So it's after this discovery, there was a theory that was made that whoever committed this had dropped the card after Joey was trying to defend himself, but this also turned out to not be true. So police then decide they need to speak to Joey's girlfriend. So they bring in Marianella, and it's during this that they start asking her about Christina. Because, I mean, if it's not family, they don't have a direct source, they're going to look at loved ones. So Marianella states that she never spoke to Christina. She was really confused as to why they were asking about her. So the police don't really relay why they were asking about Christina, but to the police, something's off about Christina. So during her interrogation, she had, prior to that of Marianella, Christina was fidgety, she was nervous. The police said that nothing was really out of the ordinary other than her leaving her car keys in her car during the questioning, which they felt was really weird. After she left her questioning, she went to Buddy's house. She went to Buddy's house to offer her condolences. Don't you think he would have done that at the funeral? Or is she just trying to save face? So I see the sincerity of it, but was she obviously had ulterior motives when it came to this case. As we will find out, it's not really her, but something's just off about her. So during this time, they're also investigating a tip that Joey was killed by a gang that had mistaken him as someone else. So they end up finding this someone else. And they question him, but this person proves this allegation to be false. So the next tip that would come in would be from an abandoned car. This abandoned car was found near the border of Mexico, and they initially thought that it was used in the shooting of Joey Fischer. But this car, unfortunately, was found to be stolen from South Padre Island, and it was ruled out in the connection to this murder. So as the police try and follow up on all these leads they have coming in, there was a call that came in from the bail office in McKinney. So this bail bondsman would give the name of Rudy Cuellar, and then they would fax over his application. After they received the application, they noticed that the handwriting on the application and on the card is similar. Interesting, right? So what they do is the Brownsville officers then would revoke Cuellar's bond. This would then cause him to go into the office, the McKinney office, and ask why his bond was revoked. Interesting. So after he goes to the office, this is then when he would be questioned by the police in connection to the Joey Fischer murder. Cuellar then would state that he gave the card to a man that was staying at a La Quinta motel in Brownsville, and that he could call the number if he was arrested. So this motel was also known to be an area where low-level criminals would stay and stay there for various stints of time. It was not in a good area. It was not a well-respected motel, we'll just say. Not giving La Quinta a bad rap, but this one in particular did not have a good reputation. So the police would begin to looking into who had been staying there for months on end or who had been staying there recently. And this is when Cuellar would give someone up. He basically just offered up this guy. His name is Ramiro Moya. So Ramiro Moya frequents Brownville often, and he would know certain details about the murder that Cuellar wouldn't. So they bring in Ramiro Moya, and he then would offer up information, just like he wants some info, here it is. He would offer up information about another individual. So this other individual would be Daniel Orlando Garza, who was known to frequent Brownsville and Mexico as well. So they then bring in this dude. So after they bring in Garza, he revealed that he made arrangements in connection to the murder of Joey Fischer. Alarm bells. Uh-oh, here we go, cops. Everything's fallen into place. Anywho, so he confessed to his crimes because it weighed heavily on his brain. Nice that you finally confessed to it, but man, why did you wait so long? Never mind. Let's keep going. Redirect. So at first, obviously, he makes all of this admissions. So they want him to wear wire. And the reason they want him to wear wire is because Whoever he was talking to, which was a client that wanted Joey Fischer dead, they wanted the wire. That way they could record a conversation. So this client, it's kind of like it's like a three-party kind of thing. So we have Dora Cisneros, which is Christina's mom. We have a fortune teller, Maria Mercedes Martinez, as the front, and then we have Garza. So Garza was going to see this fortune teller due to all of his mishaps in life. Him and his wife were basically had an impending divorce, and he wanted to see this fortune teller because he wanted help. Yada yada yada. And Dora also saw this fortune teller as well. I'll kind of get into why she went to see this fortune teller, but Dora consulted this fortune teller to have correspondence with Garza, but this wouldn't come until a little bit after. So this all came about because she felt that Joey Fischer was destined to marry her daughter Christina. So basically this is the start of everything. We'll kind of get back to Garza in a little bit and why they wanted him to wear a wire. But anywho, so she wanted Joey to marry Christina. This didn't happen. This obviously wouldn't happen because Joey broke up with Christina. He didn't love her anymore. He didn't want to be with her anymore. Their relationship was okay, wasn't the best. They broke up. Things changed. He started dating Marianella. Dora didn't like this. She started to become severely unhinged. She would even attempt to pay Joey to keep dating her daughter. And when he refused, this angered her so much more. It intensified. There's a few times that Dora would go and see this fortune teller, Maria. The first time was to see if Joey still loved Christina, and it was relayed that he didn't. Dora stormed out of the store. The second time she came into the shop was October of 1992, and this is when she asked if anybody could beat up Joey, but this notion would escalate in the winter. So the third time she would come in is when she would ask Maria if she knew anybody that could kill Joey, and she even offered about $3,000 a person to do this. So she just inquired about a hit on her daughter's ex-boyfriend. So Maria's testimony about this case after they bring her in is really, it includes the thought that Joey had raped Christina and that Joey was going around school basically telling everybody that him and Christina had sex. This was false, and Christina admitted that this claim was false before trial. So basically, what had happened is that Dora inquired about the hit. Maria then asked Garza if he basically could make arrangements towards this. So after her talking to him about this hit, he then would make arrangements that included 2 hitmen that were from Matamoros, Mexico, of which could pull this off. This was Olivares Cepeda and Heriberto Puentes Pizania. So Garza would meet both of these men during the week, like the last week of January of 1993, in regards to the murder, and they would stay in contact in regards to the plan. And then they would meet up again on February 14th, so Valentine's Day. So ironic. And this is when they were given a picture of Joey, his address, and they were told that the next trip to Brownsville is when they would kill Joey. So they didn't even know when, who, or what, basically, they were doing until that day. So now they have all of this ammo, figurative ammo, of what they need, who they're going to kill, and where. And now they just lie in wait until the night before the murder, which is when they would travel to Brownsville from Tamaulipas in order to carry out this plan. So the murder of Joey Fischer was committed between the hours of 7 and 8 a.m. on March 3rd of 1993. When the police questioned Olivares, he confirmed that he then would contact Garza when the hit was taken care of. And Garza then would contact Maria, of which she then would inform Dora. So basically it was like a giant game of telephone. So after the confession, the police got, basically after the confession from Garza, basically of everything, on March 31st of 1993, the efforts in the case would intensify. So Garza agrees to wear a wire, like I mentioned prior, while he's talking to Maria. And he agrees to wear a wire on 3 different occasions in April of 1993. So this was in hopes that she would talk about the murder for hire, and it was very successful on one of these occasions. And this is when Maria agreed to contact Dora about the payment in the hit. Apparently, they weren't paid the right amount of money. This is also high speculation. Dora offered $3,000. The hitman said it was about $5,000, that they were missing money, yada, yada, yada. So this implicates Dora even more. Maria was arrested on April 6th in regards to the murder and in connection to the murder. And Maria then agreed to help police when it came to Dora. So on April 7th, she then would ask Dora to meet up with her when it came to the payment of the assassins, that they were missing money and all this jazz. So Dora agrees, and it's during this when Dora shows up, she gets in Maria's car. Maria's wearing a wire. And what she doesn't know is that everything is being recorded. So they drive around, and there is a cop car that's following them in proximity. That way they can hear the correspondence of what's happening during this. And it's following this is when Dora and Maria would both be arrested and charged with capital murder. And the punishment for this is either death by lethal injection or life in prison. So Garza was subsequently arrested and charged with capital murder. Olivares and Cepeda were arrested on a different murder charge in Matamoros, but they would be released in July 22nd of 1993. They were arrested. So they were arrested for this charge a day prior, but due to writ of amparo, which is basically a protection of their constitutional rights, they were released in Matamoros. And it's after their release, they would be rearrested, but this was after they were trying to cross back into the United States. So Pizzagna was arrested on February 13th of 1994. He was basically the last one that they needed to arrest when it came to the connection of this murder. So Garza would be sentenced to life in prison for first-degree murder. Martinez was sentenced to 20 years in life in prison for conspiracy to commit murder. Pizzagna and Olivares were sentenced to 15 years in prison after being found guilty, which I find very ironic because they were the hitmen. I don't know. Anywho, Dora initially was found guilty, but her conviction ended up being overturned. She was rearrested in 1998 on February 25th. She was retried, but this time the trial was held at a federal level instead of a state level. So the double jeopardy clause is affected by this, but not really. Anywho, on July 27th of 1998, she was sentenced again to life in prison. So this cold, calculated, callous, and heartless woman, she took the life of a young man for no reason. Her reason was basically, you broke up with my daughter, you broke her heart, I'm going to kill you. Why? You don't have to do that. He lost his life due to a woman's rage, a reckless woman. Yes, your daughter's heart was broken, but you didn't need to kill Joey Fischer. This was such a senseless act that left this community without one of its members. Joey was a bright young man who had such a beautiful future ahead of him, and we will never know what he could have accomplished due to this murder. So that, my friends, is the murder of Joey Fischer. I hope you guys learned a little bit from this. This is a very hard case to touch on due to the sensitivity of it. And one that I've dreaded filming. But I hope you enjoy, and I will see you guys in my next video.